everybody, we are down to our last few sections of Master Math Mentor, Section 8. Yay, I know it's been kind of a long go here, a lot of different sections, but I like to try to break them up so everybody can see everything. So, in techniques of differentiation, we have learned the rules, we've learned how to apply it to tangent lines, and now we're looking at what happens with a chart like this. And this can be really overwhelming, but these are like awesome AP test problems. Okay, so this is a great AP test problem right here, and the ones below as well. Okay, so in this case, we would be starting, and they gave us our function, so g of x times 4 minus 1/2 of h of x plus 1. And they want us to find f prime of 3. Don't worry about the 3 yet. Worry about the prime. We need to get this into a prime situation. So what we're going to do now, sorry, let me turn my paper over. We are going to take the derivative of the left. Remember, this is now a constant out front, so we don't touch it. And we take the derivative of this term, g prime of x. We don't know what that is, but we do know the value at 3 is negative 2. Okay? Minus 1/2, again, h prime of x, and then plus 0. We then write f prime of 3 is 4 times g prime of 3 minus 1/2 h prime of 3. Again, we always want to make sure we're writing all the details possible to get as many points on the AP test. So f prime of 3 is going to equal 4 times g prime of 3 is negative 2 minus 1/2 h prime of 3 is pi. So we have negative 8 minus pi over 2. And that's as good as it gets. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave our answer. Part B is a unique situation because it's combining product rule with just doing a regular derivative on this guy over here. So again, I'm going to start by doing f prime of x, the first, times the derivative of the second, plus the second derivative of the first, plus the derivative of x, which is 1. Now, again, I'm going to do just what I did over here. I'm going to write f prime of 3, and I'm going to fill in g of 3, h prime, so on and so forth. Once I do all those answers, I should get 4 pi minus 5. All right, on C, if you notice here, this is going to be a quotient rule situation, okay? But we have a 1/2 out front. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1/2 g of x over h of x. And that should hopefully help out a little bit. So f prime of x equals 1/2 bottom derivative of the top minus the top derivative of the bottom all over h prime of x squared. Please pay attention to my parentheses and what I'm squaring. Squaring just the x is a different situation than squaring the whole value, so be careful. F prime of 3. So now what I'm going to do is the same thing again. I'm going to write h of 3, g prime of 3, so on and so forth all the way through. By the time I get to the bottom, I'm going to get negative 3 minus 2 pi over 9. Now again, your goal is to be able to pause it, fill in all that stuff, and make sure you're getting that answer. All right, now let's look at letter D. Again, we're going to have a quotient rule because there's no other way to shorten this up. Well, I guess I lied. Quotient rule or separate the bottom? Let's look at it. There's only one thing going on down here. So what if I sat there and said g of x over g of x minus h of x over g of x, and this will go away to 1. Well, that makes everything a whole lot better. In fact, when I take the derivative of 1, I get 0, so that helps. I'm going to put the negative out front. I take the bottom, derivative of the top, minus the top, derivative of the bottom, all over the bottom squared. Okay, now on B and C, I had just given you the answer. So again, pause, see if you can get the answer before you check my work. All right, so once you come back, sorry, we're going to change this to 3. So we have equals a negative g of 3, h prime of 3, minus h of 3, g prime of 3, all over g of 3 squared. So g of 3 is 4. H prime of 3 is pi. H of 3 is 3. G prime of 3 is negative 2. G of 3 squared is 4 squared, which is 16. So I have 4 pi plus 6 over 16. And because I can factor a 2 out of the top, I'm going to get 2 pi, let's see, plus 3. Oops, and I lost a negative along the way. There's a negative right out there. So I'm going to put a negative there. 2 pi plus 3 over 16. So I'm going to run the negative through, and the 2 and the 16 will cross out to 8. So I'm going to get negative 2 pi minus 3 over 8. All right. Again, notice all the steps that I'm doing. You may not show less than me. All right. So please make sure that you're taking your time to do those correctly. All right. Best of luck.